Hey folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley, and you know when they say don't let them see you sweat, I was thinking about an old case. I had a gentleman that was charged with drug trafficking. Many years ago, the case was in Broward County, and I'm not the best with audio visual. I mean, even though I was an audio video tech back in the day in college, you know, the technology is so overwhelming these days. I had the client, let me just tell you the story. The client is charged with drug trafficking. Now, the police show up, and I don't remember how they show up. I remember they showed up on the guy's lawn and they were trying to talk to him. And they didn't have a search warrant. So they start talking to him. Well, instead of doing a consensual encounter, like a knock and talk, they sit this guy down on the ground. Well, like any good drug trafficker, he's got video cameras all around his property, in the pool area, outside the windows, inside the house, you know, all these things, right? So I take the depositions of the agents and the officers. Oh, we didn't do anything. We sat him down. We went and had a judge sign a warrant. We filled out an affidavit for warrant with the state attorney, and it was a clean search. We did everything by the book, like with looking right at the judge, like, you know. So no, I just think about it, but I had everything on my computer, and I thought I could hook it up to the court system and have a big overhead projector, but I did not. I couldn't get it to work, right at the moment of court. I can't get it to work. So I'm asking my client questions about, I have to introduce the evidence, right? So I have to show that there's a basis, that's a true and accurate copy, you know, what cameras were set up, and the only way I could do that was through my client. So I put my client on, and I tend not to put my clients on, but I put my client on for a limited purpose, and that was to authenticate the videotapes, right? The video recordings. Where are these from? They're from my house. How do you know that? Well, I put them up. Where'd you get? They were on the machine. I downloaded them directly, I handed them to you, Mr. Foley, you know, that kind of thing. So, but we're struggling. The client and I are struggling a little bit because now I want to ask specific questions. Well, I'm standing at the podium. I can't really do that. And the judge can't see it. I can't see it. So if you're ever in a courtroom, a lot of times you'll notice that the witness chair is elevated, right? It's sitting on a platform, usually a foot or two, probably a foot higher. Well, as you guys know, I'm 6'4". So I ended up having to stand behind my client while I'm asking questions as I progress the video. Well, I'm standing an extra foot up. It's not a high ceiling, so maybe it's an 8-foot ceiling right there, and the light is right above me. And I'm doing this for, I don't know, 3-4 hours. And I remember the sweat dripped down and landed like on the computer screen. Now the judge is sitting off to the right. Now the judge had to come down from the bench to be able to see what I was asking questions about. There was no other way to do it. We couldn't get the media to work. So ultimately, the officers had already given their testimony. I had already cross-examined them, and now I'm using this video to impeach their credibility. The judge sees the cop throws the guy down on the ground, doesn't have a warrant, he's not handcuffed, he's there, and then you see a bunch of cops opening the salt water system, the chlorine system for his pool, going into a shed. Hey, did you go in the shed? No, I never went in the shed. The cops like opening the door, trying to jimmy the door, going in. Did you go in the shed? No, I didn't go in the house. Walking through the kitchen, going through the cookie jar, the refrigerator, you know, all of this. And listen, I know a lot of people be like, they should be fine. And I get it. Like, you're right. I think that once you're proven to be a liar and you're in law enforcement, yeah, I do. I think that your credibility is no longer good. And then, you know, what happens? Maybe you end up on a Brady list, but there's no use for those officers. I remember walking out into the hallway. The motion was granted. All the evidence was suppressed, right? The state didn't have a case. And I remember going out to the elevator and going, oh man, the client was like, of course we won. Of course we won. I mean, they violated my rights. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, man, but you're still trafficking drugs. Like, it's not like that you weren't doing it. Like, I didn't say it. Like, I'm not going to have that argue. You know, my job is to defend and to show the Monday morning quarterback. But sometimes I read the comments and someone will say something to the effect of, all these innocent people that are just, yeah, innocent. This guy wasn't innocent. Now, it was weed. It wasn't like, you know, it wasn't trafficking heroin and da. So, but he had a lot of weed. I forget how much it was, at 100 pounds, 200 pounds. He had a shitload of weed. But the case went away through cross-examination and impeaching the credibility of the officer. And I remember the judge, and this bothered me, and I think I've talked about it in another video, because I had the same judge for 2 or 3 cases and 2 or 3 motions to suppress. On one was alleged shooting case, and one was it was 2 cases, and the drug trafficking case. And this judge, you know, literally grants the motion. He goes, and then he turns the speaker off, just like cops do, and he's like, I mean, that guy just lied through his teeth. And I'm just thinking, like, hey, Judge, well, why don't you, and I don't remember what I said at the time. This was a long time ago. Nowadays, I'm more outspoken. And I'll go, Judge, if you're going to say that off the record, please put that on the record. And you can hold him in contempt, right? You can assign him an attorney. Obviously, he just lied on the record. So anyway, I'm Attorney Roger P. Foley, State Attorney calling. Got to go.